introduction here, but have you guys seen our seller offering? Have you gotten one? So you've seen that. So it's got lots of information about you guys. I'm very curious about the Beaucastel Syrah clone. Is that Beaucastel the Beaucastel?
It is the Beaucastel, and I planted it, I believe it was 1991. And so I chose it because I love Chateau Beaucastel. Why not? My favorite one is Chateauneuf de Pape's, and I buy it almost every vintage because it's always so wonderful. So we had the opportunity when we were planting this vineyard. I'm pointing because it's just right here outside the kitchen window. It's 2 acres of Syrah. And when we planted it, we had the ability to buy the budwood when Topless Creek was formed. It was formed as a joint venture between the Perrin family, who owned Beaucastel, and their longtime importer, Robert Haas. So that was the beginning of Topless Creek. And they said, well, you know, what we'd like to do is to see how Syrah can be made in America, you know, with our winemaking, and we want to like eliminate as many variables as possible. So they said, let's bring all the budwood. So the budwood is the genetic material to plant the vineyard at Topless Creek. Let's bring it from Beaucastel. And as it turns out, because of all the regulations about bringing in plant material, and a lot of the regulations are good. I'm not just giving the government a hard time. It took about 10 years for them to actually get the budwood in, get it, put it through a program at UC Davis to clean it up to make sure that there's no virus. Then they had to plant a mother block, and then you have to wait until that grows. And then finally, you start getting cuttings for other vineyards from that. And we were one of the first cuttings to get from Beaucastel. And the grapes from this vineyard right here go into baby blue typically, but can occasionally go into a separate Blue Rock bottling, a Best Barrels bottling, which we'll tell you about later. Best Barrels is something that we do if and when there's something that's spectacular.
Wonderful. Well, again, welcome, and I won't take any of your time. Looks like you're ready to cook, so I don't want to take any time. And it looks like you've got the 2 SKUs that we carry here, the Baby Blue and the Blue Rock Estate Cabernet.
Yeah.
So over to you guys.
Okay, good. Well, first of all, thank you all for joining us. I mean, there's nothing better than hospitality, and we would love to have you come and visit us here. And we'll show you some images of the estate and of the property. Matter of fact, in a minute, we'll even show you a little, if you'll bear with us, a little 2-minute video, which may entice you to come. But this is like a second best. And Carla and I have done quite a few of these, and they're actually successful, and they're a lot of fun. So what we're going to do today, of course, we're going to taste the wines, but we are going to give you some history of the area itself and of Alexander Valley, and then we'll tell you about our history and how we got involved and what we're doing these days. So if you don't mind, Jared, whenever you're ready, so we have Jared as our associate, who's actually we're virtual too. We're together, but Jared is in Las Vegas right now. So we're going to cut away whenever he's ready to a 2-minute video. You guys good with that?
Or we might need to have screen sharing enabled so that he can show the video.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we're so used to being the ones that are driving that all these fun things.
Normally in charge. And by the way, open some wine and drink it. Don't wait for the tasting. Don't wait for us.
Let's start right now.
It's cocktail hour. Yes. So yes, there you go.
Hey,
matter of fact, so if you will, please.
Great. So 2018 Baby Blue is what we're gonna toast with. Really nice glass.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh my gosh.
So we're excited to try this because actually we have, we bottled this, I don't know, 6 months ago, and I really haven't tried this in a little while, so I'm really excited. A fantastic vintage, and we'll tell you all about it. But first of all, cheers, everybody. Get a glass of wine, drink with us. I have to say that I get to say the blessing tonight, and I think that we feel so blessed and you have every reason and right to say, well, why do you feel blessed? We're in a pandemic. We're surrounded by fires. You all have seen the fires, and it's about as bad as you think it is. We're in a drought. We've been in many years of drought, but still we do feel blessed. I mean, like, we're getting through it okay. And actually, frankly, our sales are up significantly over last year. And I think a lot of it has to do with just, people like us and they like the wines.
Well, and what are you gonna do when you're sitting home and you can't go out anywhere and you're not going to a concert or a sporting event, you can't travel? You wanna drink wine, right? And you wanna drink really great wine. And so we have been, shipping a lot of wine. We have been working with our friends, our partners like Opimium across the globe and saying, how can we get you more wine? How can we connect? And so we've been doing these Zooms. We immediately picked up a Zoom Pro account in April, and we've been doing Zooms and trying to make them really fun and engaging by putting recipes together with them. So, we're gonna do a little recipe. I know one recipe went out for Kenny's favorite tuna tartare recipe that pairs so well with, we do a wonderful Sauvignon Blanc blend. Hopefully next year, maybe we can get it into your offering, into your club, because it's fantastic and it goes great with the tartare. So try that recipe with a Sauvignon Blanc. But tonight, what we're going to show you is a recipe that pairs spectacular with the baby blue. And Kenny will talk a little bit more about that, but we're going to send it around to you guys or make it available so Opimium can send it to you, or you can find it on our website too.
So let me start with a couple of things. One is that do ask us questions. I don't know how you can send in questions because when we're in charge, they're coming to us. But
just raise your hand.
Yeah, just raise your hand, or one way or another, because we would love to. We're your vendors tonight, so by all means, we're here for you. So
what we found is that most people are comfortable putting it into the chat, so they'll type it into the chat, which if everybody needs to know, it's down on your bar. You click on the chat button and you can type in a question, but feel free to unmute yourself and just ask away as well, correct? With a small group like this, it's easy, and we won't be talking over each other, so I think it'd be great.
Could be under more.
So I'm going to start with a little history because we have such a cool property here. So the building that we're in the that's Blue Rock Vineyard, but it's the original Villa Maria winery. So this winery was bonded right around 1880. It was Italian immigrants who came in from, there's an image on the left-hand side is the original winery before the restoration, which is on the right-hand side. So it's the same building, but with, of course, a significant restoration after 130 years. It really needed it. But this is an area that Italian immigrants came in the 1860s and 1870s, in our case, 1880. They were attracted to this area because it looked so much like their native homeland, looked so much like Italy. There's another great picture there of the Blue Rock estate. It could be in Umbria, it could be in Tuscany. Italian immigrants, of course, they brought with them a knowledge and love of winemaking. Thank you. But they also brought olive trees, and we're surrounded by, maybe 150, 130-year-old olive trees. And then we've planted more since then. So we make a beautiful, an Italian Tuscan style of estate olive oil, which is just wonderful. They built the buildings out of stone and redwood, so they were real craftsmen from the homeland. So the buildings here have just tremendous character, beautiful stone walls, first growth redwood. And when we did the restoration, we saved every scrap of the original redwood and made windows and doors and ceilings, and we repurposed everything, which is part of our sort of sustainable philosophy, which I'm going to talk about later. So the original Villa Maria winery didn't survive prohibition. Now, I want to say, Canada, you guys were not that dumb. You didn't have prohibition, did you? No?
No.
I think we did for a really brief period of time, but it didn't last.
Didn't take.
For
Well-
14 years, like we suffered through.
Yeah,
We're
well, we
coming
had-
to Canada, by the way. Will you have us?
Absolutely. We're very picky, but you two can come for certain.
Oh, thank you. We're nice. We don't even talk politics, but we're on the right side of things. Let me tell you.
Right.
On the left side of things.
The left side.
Is
No.
it the right side?
No.
We're on the left side, which is the right side, or the right side, which is anyway. No politics. You guys have some crazy politics too now. You're not
That's true.
exempt.
No. But you know, by comparison,
Yeah, which is another reason why our sales are up, because everybody's just like, we're just gonna drink
Yeah.
because we can't believe it.
yeah.
So, yeah, and there's a boycott of Stolichnaya, right? Because of,
Right.
and Qingdao. But anyway, all that aside, this property didn't survive prohibition. Now, we have some neighbors who did survive, like the Sagacio winery is, the home vineyard is next door to us, and they sold sacramental wine. And so what happened during prohibition, and you all probably know this, is that you cannot stop people from doing something that they want to do. You know, you can outlaw it, but people are going to find a way to do it. And in America, as it turns out, you could drink, you just had to be religious. So of course, there were a lot of religious people.
Helped the churches a lot.
There were more rabbis than priests. Unbelievable. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Now I'll bring you into the sort of the Renaissance, the modern history and revitalization of the property. So, and that begins with me. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. And I know, of course, I don't know, I want to see a show of hands since we're so small, you can do this. And Leo and Neil, you're blocked, we can't see your faces, so you can unblock yourselves if you want to. But how many of you, how many of you have been to Memphis? One of you. Wow, well, we need some Elvis fans. So Memphis.
Sorry, we're enjoying some food as we're watching, so we didn't think you'd want to see us enjoying the food.
What are you eating?
What's for dinner?
We want you to share with us. I'm going to be sharing recipes with you in a minute. But anyway, growing up in Memphis, I mean, you guys.
Look, we're getting a look.
Let's see.
Oh.
Looks good. Hey, there's a bug in that. What did you see that? So growing up in Memphis, you guys don't from Canada. You don't know much about Memphis, I'm sure, but very provincial. It's the deep South, cotton and soybean country, very conservative. And so I was in my 20s and I knew absolutely nothing about fine wine. For us, fine wine was a wine called Mad Dog 2020. And it was not something that you'd want to drink. I see some smiling faces. Some of you know what it is. And great food was barbecue, but I mean, we honestly, and this is true, I didn't have a pot sticker until I was 25. We didn't have a Chinese restaurant. We had fried chicken and barbecue, that was it. So my eyes were open. I think everybody here, I see everybody here, you wouldn't be here unless you had an interest in wine. And there's always that moment, there's that time where, you know, you realize that, hey, this is pretty cool. I like this, I want to learn more. And for me, I had an older neighbor. I had a lawyer who was in his 70s, a guy named Milton Picard, and he had been collecting great wines of Europe. He had first growth Bordeaux and Burgundy from the 1950s and 60s and 70s. And I'd go over to his house and he was so excited because, you know, we know this, right? Is that you have a great bottle of wine, you want to share it. You want to share it with somebody and turn them on to it. And I go over to Milton's house. He said, try this 1961 Domaine Romani Conti. What do you think? I'm like, this is how I started. And then he'd open up an old Margaux. And that's where you bring it out of the cellar. It wasn't precious. It would have a $2 price tag on it. You know, these wines, after the Second World War, you know, the wine, even the Grand Crus in Bordeaux, couldn't sell their wines. I mean, it was a real recession from them. So it wasn't the big deal that it is today. Anyway, my wife and I, We were in our 20s, just starting our professional careers. We moved to California. We took our honeymoon out here. We took that beautiful, magical drive down from San Francisco down to Carmel. Again, show of hands. How many of you have done that trip? Okay. So that leaves the rest of you with a big future in your lives. You know that? You've really missed out on something, but it's not too late. That is just.
You're gonna want to come to America at some point, right? We're gonna get.
And you know what, Opinion, once we're going to reinvigorate our travel program when COVID is under control and there's a vaccine, and we've got California on the list. It'll be one of the first, and we'll be bringing a group to see you for sure.
Okay, great. And we're really set up for it. And we'll talk about this later. But we're in our commercial kitchen. We have a chef. We're private. I mean, we're a perfect place for that kind
Sounds
of.
perfect. Absolutely.
Anyway, you know, my wife and we took this trip to California. We went back to Memphis and we looked at each other and we said, pack your bags, let's go. And that was 1985, we came out here. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because it's so much the heart and soul of what we are today. A lot of what's done in California is done by wealthy people who, and I'm not saying that they're not passionate, but it's wealthy people who made their money, you know, in investments. Maybe they're founders of Google or Facebook or something like that, and they come in with a ton of money and, you know, do a lot of, you know, ego-related things, and they can make some really great wines, and that's their story. But our story really is like, we were two kids who came out here with big eyes and big dreams and no money. So what we did, even back in 1985, things were very expensive in California, so we couldn't afford anything. And we started working. My wife just retired as a radiologist, and I was in the investment business. So we started our daytime careers out here. And after 2 years of looking, we found this, this place is gorgeous, but derelict property. It was, since Prohibition, no one had shown it any love. And so the buildings had great bones, but were uninhabitable. There was no roof on this building. We have a guest house, which we've partnered with a luxury travel company, Inspirato. But that wasn't an Inspirato residence, not by any means. It was occupied by mice, not by members. And, but you know what? It was in foreclosure. Those are the magic words. And we had been looking for 2 years, and so we bought it. And honestly, Alexander Valley back then really wasn't on anyone's map. I mean, we're next door to the original Silver Oak Winery and Vineyard. Jordan is just down the road from us. But you know, those are big names today, but back in 1987 now, when we actually bought the property in foreclosure, they were just getting started off. And Alexander Valley was more prunes and plums than it was viticulture. So we were able to buy the property, 100 acres, a hillside. We renamed it Blue Rock for the blue serpentine rock that's all throughout the property. And serpentine is very high in magnesium, so it really, you'll see when you taste the wines, is that they have a peculiar quality to them, which is what you want. If you're going to have an estate wine, you want to have something that's distinctive. So yeah, Jared's now showing us a picture of, this is in the middle, that's serpentine rock that we plucked out of the vineyard and used it to, you know, for
Lines the irrigation
yeah,
pond.
it does,
It
right.
holds up the
I'm
hillside.
looking for the right words,
Yeah.
but it's for basically for conservation. And then we began what is now 35-year love affair with a few things. One is that we started off with the love affair was wine and food. I started cooking when I was in Memphis. We didn't have anything else to do in Memphis. So on the weekends, I would take cooking classes every weekend. And I went beyond barbecue. I started doing French and Italian. My wife and I, every vacation that we took, and if we were taking vacations now, we'd probably still do this too, always to the wine country in some part of the world. And we incorporate other things. We play tennis and so on, but it was always something to do with wine and with vineyards. We bicycled in Burgundy. We bicycled in the Loire Valley. If you haven't done that, I'm trying to give you some inspiration. Do it. It's such a wonderful way to travel on a bicycle and visiting the wine country that way. So here we decided that we wanted to do things our way. We want to do it as if we're living in Europe. We're just really attracted to a little bit slower way of life, something that doesn't involve, constant texting and always having to look at the television, making dinner every night with our family, really enjoying it, having a conversation. Somewhat of an anachronism, but it's something that's just really important to us. So when we started Blue Rock, we said that we made a commitment to farming the property ourselves. And so we are, first and foremost, we are really farmers here. It's my love. And I come from a farming family in Memphis. And the reason I'm telling you this is that more than 75% of the vineyards and wineries in California outsource the farming to management companies. And so a management company, they have all the equipment, they have the labor, they take care of all the headaches, workers' compensation, everything. And we felt that we would get a much better result if we had the same people year round. So the person who prunes the vine then, has just, in our case, has just finished doing all the canopy work during the growing season. Canopy, we're making sure every grape cluster gets dappled, even sunlight, and gets air circulation. Now we're working in harvest. We switched to night harvesting, which really gives us a wonderful benefit to the winemaking process. And then those same people, they're with us year round. They'll work, we'll keep them busy. And that's a challenge after harvest. Until we start pruning in January, we have to keep them busy. But, we just feel like having our own crews, giving them benefits, treating them respectfully, that will get a better result. And I have to say that one of the nice things about tasting some wines together is that it's one thing for me to talk about how wonderful the wines are and how hard we try and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it really has to show up in the bottle. And when you taste the wines, you can tell whether we're telling the truth or not. I mean, at the end of the day, you're the ones who really decide whether you like the wines or not, right? Mm-hmm. And not everyone likes our wines because we have a particular style, which I want to talk about. But there are enough people, so what we've done is that we've said, we want to craft European style wines, but from our own great California vineyards. So what you get is you're getting the fruit of this wonderful vineyard source here in California, but you're getting it with a European style, which means a little bit more restrained, not high alcohol, not hugely extracted, not a real jammy wine. We're really after something that is food friendly, that has acid, that's not so big that it dominates the table. And so that, so you're getting, that philosophy really comes from me. We have 5 people on the winemaking team. Carla is a member of the team. We have Rogelio Alvarado. Here, Jared will maybe throw up a picture of some of our staff. We have Rogelio Alvarado as our in-house winemaker who knows every barrel of wine. So we'll show you here. So on the right-hand side is Daniel Gomez, who's our vineyard manager. And then his son, Eduardo, is his youngest son, who has been with us since he was 16 years old, full-time. And Eduardo is now our facilities manager and also works during harvest, works on the crush pad. In the middle of the picture is Rogelio Alvarado, and he is our in-house winemaker. So his job it's about all the details. And I gotta tell you, winemaking is all about details, which is one reason why we have a winemaking team, because I'm not detail oriented. I'm more the top level. So my job in the winemaking team is to set the standards And then on the left-hand side was Kent Humphrey, and Kent is our consulting winemaker. So he has his own winery, but we're one of his very few other clients, and he helps us more technically, but also artistically. He has a phenomenal palate.
Can we ask, sorry,
Please.
I don't want to interrupt. Can we ask questions as we go, or do you want us to wait?
Yeah, no, I would rather that you, that way I'm not just like ranting and raving.
Okay, perfect. So you'd mentioned, your wines aren't high alcohol, certain style. Have you found climate change, is that impacting things at all in terms of how you need to manage the winemaking process?
That's such a great question. And you're asking it at a time when I have to say yes, because we are very impacted this year. This is the first year. Well, actually, 2017, we were also impacted, not by fires here, but we were impacted by so at Labor Day, 2017, just before harvest, the grapes are ripe, they're beautiful. We had a heat wave. We had 5 or 6 days way above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. You guys probably think centigrade, but we're Fahrenheit, so we had several days at 115.
We know that's really hot.
Yeah.
It's really, really hot.
The vines, that year, the vines went into shock and stopped taking up water.
Yeah.
This year, we had 2 days where it was 116, and actually the vines did not stop taking up water.
Yeah.
But,
And we're going to taste the 2017 Cabernet next. So we've done a whole bunch of things to try to mitigate the impact of climate change, if you will. One of the things that we do is all throughout the vineyard, we put up shade cloth. And I don't know of anybody else who does this, but we actually, on the sunny side, on the west side of the canopy is the sunny side in the afternoon. That's when you get all the heat. We put up a white cloth like you would see in a greenhouse. We put it up in the fruit zone of the entire vineyard. We might or might not have a picture of that, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money to do it, but we use an infrared thermometer and we check the temperature. The temperature underneath the shade cloth is 6 to 8 degrees cooler than it is outside of the shade cloth. So there's your shade cloth, and leave that up for a minute, Jared. The shade cloth, see the white cloth? That's what we do throughout. And so, that's one way of mitigating these heat events that we're getting because of climate change.
Yeah.
If you look at the middle picture, this is some of the technology that we have started employing, and it's just so fascinating. So what that is an infrared picture taken by an aerial camera, an airplane that we hired to fly over the vineyard. And so they take pictures of the entire vineyard, and that's one particular block of our new vineyard in the Petaluma Gap. So that's cool climate, Pinot, Chardonnay, Viognier, aromatic whites. And what the infrared film does is that it measures photosynthesis. And so by measuring what's growing above ground, you can actually look below the soil. And the way that they do that is that if you have a plant that's really happy and it's really growing and has a lot of photosynthesis, right? A big canopy, a lot of photosynthesis. It means that the soil below, that means that vine probably has access to a lot of water and a lot of nutrients. Conversely, something that is a different color coded, let's say the gray in this case, is, and the gray in this case means that, those vines have less photosynthesis, meaning that they have less water, less nutrients. So one of the things we did to mitigate that is that we put in, again, very expensive and something that other vineyards don't have, other than a few of the very top vineyards like Opus One. We have 2 drip lines throughout the vineyard. We're actually installing it in some blocks right now. And so that allows us to irrigate some vines, even within an acre, separately from other vines. So instead of irrigating to the lowest common denominator, we're irrigating to those vines just those that need it. And we get two things out of that. One is that we're getting much higher quality because we're getting more uniformity, more uniformly ripe fruit. So when we harvest, every cluster is close in ripeness. That's what you want. But as a side to that is that it helps our sustainability because we're using half as much water because we're not irrigating to the lowest common denominator. The pile on the right doesn't really have to do with climate change, but we, we're certified sustainable here. We love talking about that. We live here, we drink a lot of our wines. We also grow a lot of our own fruits and vegetables for our kitchen here and for ourselves. So we're really sensitive to wanting to have a sustainable environment that's healthy. And so that compost, that is compost that we actually are making on site. So instead of paying somebody to haul off the spoils from the winemaking process, you know, the skins, the seeds, everything that's left over. And also the other things that come from, let's say, you know, garden cuttings, whatever, what we do is we compost it and then we put it back into the vineyard. So it's a very holistic life cycle that's good for the vines and it's good for the pocketbook and it's good for everything. Just sort of wrap up on that question. I mean, I didn't mean to go so much on it, but it's such a big deal to us, is that this year, because of the fires all around us, there is a concern for the possibility of smoke taint in the 2020 vintage. And we are doing micro fermentations because you can, once the wine is fermented, you can taste whether there's, and we're not seeing anything. We're not ruling it out, but we're not seeing anything. So, yeah.
And the smoke is, I mean, I'm sure you're seeing all the smoke and the orange skies and what have you. What's interesting here is it's actually, I mean, we've had a 50-degree temperature swing this week. We went from 116 on Monday. It's been 66 the last few days. And that is because the layer of fog rolled in and the smoke is on top of the fog. So we're not getting smoke on the ground level, but we just can't, the fog is so thick and the smoke is so thick on top of it, it's actually keeping the fog in place. So that's why our temperatures are as low as they are.
It's cold today. It's like 65 degrees.
They just don't know how to even measure this, and it shows that it's unhealthy, but it's really like, it's unhealthy way up. It's not unhealthy here. It's the most bizarre thing. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think any of us have, but.
So that's actually a good segue to the Alexander Valley. And we're going to show you a clip in just a minute, but if you will, hang on, Jared. So we are in Sonoma, Alexander Valley. For those of you who are not familiar with the lay of the land here, Sonoma and Napa run parallel to each other, with Napa being further inland, away from the Pacific Ocean. Sonoma is a little harder to understand, but there's a good map of it. So you'll see on the southern end is San Francisco. You go across the Golden Gate Bridge and you're into Marin County. You keep going up that Highway 101. And if you go to the right, you go to Napa Valley. And Napa Valley is really easy to understand. It's a long, narrow valley, and it's Cabernet, Cabernet, Cabernet. Sonoma is harder to get your arms around, but honestly, it's worthwhile because it's so interesting here. The soils and the climate in particular are going to determine what grows best. So the closer that you get to the Pacific Ocean, the colder it's going to be. You're going to have more fog. You're going to have, the Pacific Ocean is 55 degrees, so you get those breezes coming in, and it's like a natural air conditioner. So you're going to have the Sonoma Coast, Russian River. It's going to be very cold, so that's where you're going to get your best Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, aromatic whites like, I think Sauvignon Blanc does great out there, Viognier. As you come inland, like go north on this map and you see Geyserville, and then we're just north of Geyserville. And so we're in Alexander Valley. And Alexander Valley is a pretty warm area. So Bordeaux varietals, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, the cousins, Cabernet Franc, Malbec, Petit Verdot, all do really well here. And we're going to taste the Cabernet in a minute, but I want to go talk about baby blue first.
You want to show her a little
Let's show the video, because I'd love you to see this, because it is about Alexander Valley. And one of the things that's important here is that very typically, we average about a 45-degree diurnal swing daily during the growing season. So you have these warm days that I talked about, so the grapes like it. Cabernet likes warm weather. But then at night, you need a sweater because it gets cold, and what that does, that preserves the natural acidity. So you'll see that the Blue Rock wines and other wines from the Alexander Valley are going to have a freshness. There's going to be good acid in the wines. I think Napa generally the wines are a little fatter, but also they seem fatter because there's a little bit less alcohol. So Jared, roll them. Can we do it? If you can't do it, don't worry about it. He says yes.
The beauty behind what we have in Alexander Valley is our terroir, our climate from North Valley to South Valley, and all the complexities that are involved with that.
You know, when I talk about what we do, I really first start talking about, it's more lifestyle, is that when you come here, you're in a farmer's home, small family farmers who really do all the work themselves. I mean, you know, who do all the farming, and then they pick the grapes, and then they make the wine, and then they bring the wine up, and then they barrel age it, and then years later, if somebody does come to us because they don't know about us and they come and visit, then they get to taste something that's really special, that, you know, it's a discovery.
I feel like there's a whole weight off your shoulders, it's relaxing, you can wear what you want to wear, you can be who you want to be, and no one's judging.
I have a little frustration. I think all of us have a little frustration about Alexander Valley, just kind of like, you know, not getting the recognition for the special place that it is.
Alexander Valley's got a history, a feel to it that no other appellation has in Sonoma County.
And that's what's so cool.
And that's what's so cool.
That's what's so cool.
I love that. I have to say that I think the biggest difference between Napa and Sonoma, and I'm telling you this because I'm hoping that you will come out and visit the wine country next year. I think we're hoping that, you know, the COVID will be gone and people will feel like traveling. The real difference, they're both wonderful. We both have fabulous restaurants. Anything from the Mexican hole in the wall, which I would suggest that you do eat at. I do all the time. You follow the vineyard workers in and you get the greatest burrito of your life. I'm up to, you know, Michelin 3-star restaurants. In our case, we have Single Thread here. In Napa, they have the French Laundry. But the real difference, Napa is very gentrified. And in Sonoma, we're gentrified, but it's very friendly. You'll see a lot of small family farmers like ourselves. You're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Right, you're muted.
Yeah, there, got it. I stayed and ate at the Boonville Hotel in Alexander Valley. I had a wonderful time, and like you said, it's just so unpretentious. It was wonderful.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's who we are out
Let's,
here.
let's talk a little bit about Baby Blue.
Yeah.
So Baby Blue, you all have Baby Blue and you're drinking Baby Blue, yes? Okay, so where the name comes from, that's the Cabernet with the blue rectangular label, and we'll have that next. So I mentioned that we're the Blue Rock Estate, named after the blue serpentine rock. In 2008, we had a replanting program going on, and I told you all that I'm a Francophile, and if I were living in Burgundy or in Bordeaux, The young vines, when they come into production, they don't quite have the depth and complexity of the, like people. Little age helps a little bit. So we said, let's do exactly what we would do if we were living in Europe. So the idea behind Baby Blue, the young vines on the estate, was let's put it in a wine that's more approachably styled than the Cabernet, which is the Grand Vin. And so you have something to drink while you're waiting for the Cabernet in the cellar. And also let's make it less expensive. But we really, the idea was with Baby Blue is, you know, even though it's our, I'm going to call it our entry-level wine, is that we wanted to make it a really serious wine. And so it is a blend of everything we grow on the estate. It's mostly Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. And this vintage, which is getting some wonderful accolades, this vintage is more Cabernet than we've had in the past because we had a contract where we were selling our Cabernet Sauvignon. We were selling half of our Cabernet to Duckhorn in Napa. And in 2018, in this vintage, we were able to cancel that contract. And so we have that fruit going into this wine. And so this, on the one hand, it is pretty approachable, but it's still a serious wine. It's layered. It has black fruit. It has good, I love the balance on it. It has that good acid in the finish. It can use another few months of bottle age. And it would be quite a bit better.
Or aeration.
Or aeration, yeah, decant it or use an aerator.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the most serious Baby Blue to date, in part because it's so much Cabernet from the estate. It's a much more versatile wine than a straight Cabernet Sauvignon. So the idea behind the other varietals, twofold. One is that by putting in the Cabernet Franc, Malbec, Petit Verdot, and even a little bit of that Beaucastel clone of Syrah, you get a wine that's unique. So Baby Blue really sings its own tune. I mean, there's really nothing like it. It's really unique. And I have to say, all around the country and now all around the world, it's just a favorite. I mean, people just love it. And the accolades that we get, I mean, yes, we get great press on it, but the accolades that I care about are not Robert Parker or Wine Enthusiast or Wine Spectator, because that's just, you know, one or two kind of, you know, critics who are tasting 300 wines a day. What we care about is you guys. And our customers are just daily sending us pictures. They're saying, hey, we took this to our local restaurant and showed the sommelier, or we took it to a friend's house for dinner and everybody loved it. And so those are the accolades that we really live for. What do you guys think? Baby Blue? You're still muted. Now unmute yourself.
I keep doing that because dogs are barking and there's planes going over. There you go. But yeah, I'm drinking the 2015 Baby Blue, and again, I mean, it's not just because I read it that you guys are food friendly. It's really a wonderfully balanced wine, and I really do believe that you're a Francophile in that sense of having the Grand Cru and then the entry level Grand Cru per se, which this makes perfect sense. And I'm going to move up to the Cab Sauv this year.
Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah.
And are we gonna show our little recipe?
Oh, then we're going to show the recipe also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I better do the recipe.
Yeah, I know, we're gonna.
Why don't you talk about the Cabernet? Before you do, let me just tell you a little bit about the recipe, okay? We love showing recipes because, as I said, we are about wine, food, and now hospitality. So those three things. And I'm going to show you this. So this recipe, which is on our website, so it's bluerockvineyard.com. From the homepage, you scroll down a little bit to the blog, and we have a whole bunch of recipes there. And the foundation of my recipes, if you will, and I'll tell you, I stole this one from a Michelin 3-star chef. Tell him, but I'm going to give him credit. Is that I want these things to have a number of things going. They have to be easy to make, really easy to make. It has to be ingredients that you can get anywhere. And I know you guys probably have, pretty sophisticated access. But we have, customers out in the boonies who can't get fresh fish and things. So it has to be ingredients you can get anywhere. Then the third thing is that it has to go with the wines. So that's basically it. So this recipe is borrowed from a Michelin 3-star chef called Jean-Georges. Ever heard of Jean-Georges von Stiechen?
It's my favorite restaurant in the world, New York City. Jean-Georges. Yeah.
So he came up with this many years ago. So now almost every good restaurant in the world has a molten lava cake, right? A chocolate lava cake. But when he came up with it, it was the first thing and everybody decided to copy it. So I'm going to show you how to do it. And it goes fabulously with baby blue. And we had it the other day with, we had it with the Merlot, because the Merlot has some chocolatey, dark Dutch chocolate notes. So this is very simple. Can I see the bowl over there, please? So there's only like 4 or 5 ingredients in this. And so what we have in here, so it's 2 whole eggs, and then 2 egg yolks, a 1/4 cup of sugar, and then a pinch of salt. And all you do is you get an egg beater and you just whip it up for about 3 minutes, and that's it, okay? So it's kind of frothy. Then the next is that this is 6 ounces of dark chocolate, and of course, it's all about the chocolate. So use a really great chocolate, Scharfenberger, I'm trying to think what else, just a really good bittersweet chocolate. And then there is 1 stick of butter. And I got to tell you, yesterday we didn't have any butter. We were doing this recipe. And so we used Blue Rock Estate olive oil, and it was fantastic. So, and then what else does this have?
A little pinch of salt.
A pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we need 2 tablespoons of flour.
Right, we want to fold everything in and then add the flour and fold that.
Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to fold the chocolate into the eggs. Now, the chocolate, I melted the butter and the chocolate in a double boiler. So if you don't have a double boiler, I'll show you what you can do. So the reason for a double boiler is that you don't want to burn the chocolate, right? If you're putting it on an open flame, then you run the risk of burning the chocolate, and then you're not going to have a good dessert. Okay, so a double boiler, what it is, you got a bigger pot that has water, boiling water in it. You got a smaller pot that you just simply put in the water bath, and so that way you're never going to scorch the chocolate. Now I'm going to fold this in. So instead of stirring it, you fold it into the batter. And then,
The 2 tablespoons of flour.
all right, so I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons of flour in it. This is just regular all-purpose flour. Again, I'm telling you, this is so simple, and you're not gonna believe how fantastic this is. And another thing that you guys try this because you're gonna love it. The other thing that is great about this recipe is that once you put these into the ramekin, you can put them in the refrigerator for like up to a week. And then when you have company come over, you just simply take it out of the refrigerator, you put it into the oven for 11 minutes, and you got a perfect molten chocolate cake. How about that?
Bam.
Well, I'll tell you, I love chocolate molten cake. And the first time I had it was in Europe. And then I started to look for it everywhere I could. I had no idea how simple this was until Kenny whipped this up at one of our Zoom tastings, and I thought, my God, I can do this. I'm not much of a baker. I love to cook and I love to eat, but this is such an easy, simple dessert. Anybody can do it. It's
all incorporated. It's just so simple. Then the next thing, so you get a ramekin. This is do we think it's a 4 ounce?
We think it's a 4 ounce.
And that is sort of important because if it's a bigger ramekin, obviously it's going to take more time to cook, and I couldn't tell you how long. But this
Did you put the flour in?
Yeah, so what you do, you butter the ramekin a little bit.
He did, David.
Then,
Okay.
you put flour in and roll it around, and then you get rid of the excess flour. So the flour just keeps it from, the butter and flour just keep it from sticking. So at the end, it's going to release, maybe.
This is always the scary part.
No,
It doesn't
this
really
makes
come out.
this makes
Yeah.
4 or
Yeah.
6. I forget.
4. This recipe makes 4. On our website, on the blog, it actually calls for a 6-ounce ramekin, but we found that the 4-ounce actually works
So
better.
we should correct
And
that.
we are gonna correct that.
So, okay, now,
But we're in the middle of harvest right now, so it might not be
Yeah.
until
the other
after
thing,
harvest.
don't fill it up completely because it is going to rise a little bit. We've preheated the oven to 450 and we're going to do exactly 11 minutes.
Yeah, I got the timer on, actually. I'm gonna fix
I thought
it.
you were going to count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Oh, you got the timer.
I got the timer on.
All right, so
Okay.
have we tasted the
We've
Cabernet
never tasted
Sauvignon?
the Cabernet.
What's wrong with you guys?
Now's the time to taste the Cabernet.
Let's do it.
All right. So Kenny, you should talk about, I mean, this is the first wine that you ever made.
Yes, so actually,
Under
so
Blue Rock.
I mentioned that we bought the property in 1987, and when we planted it, we sold grapes to other wineries, and then we'd go to the other wineries after they made the wine, and we realized that, wow, it's really a great vineyard. And honestly, we got lucky. I told you the story. We bought it because it was the only thing we could afford. It was in foreclosure. We didn't know if it was going to be any good or not, and as it turned out, it is. It's a great
Really
vineyard.
fantastic.
And so in 1999, I hired a local winemaker as my consultant because I didn't know anything about making wine. And we made 500 cases of Cabernet Sauvignon. And we've very slowly grown our production. And I got to tell you, we just recently, with our winemaking staff, we tasted the 1999, 2000, and 2001 estate Cabernets, this wine, and they have aged fantastic. And the reason that they're aging so well is because they're not over extracted. If you get a wine that's 15.5, 16% alcohol, heavily extracted, they just don't age very well. They turn sweet and plummy. You have to have balance. The other thing is that this wine, when the recession hit in 2008, this wine, my first child, if you will, was getting overshadowed by Baby Blue because Baby Blue so over delivers that that was the only thing it was selling. People didn't want to spend the money that it takes for the Cabernet because, wow, I just want to spend a few bucks and get a great wine, and that was Baby Blue. So we went to our winemaking team and we said, look, this can't happen. The Cabernet has got to really stand on its own. So we said, let's elevate it. Let's do everything that in our power to make this a better wine than it's ever been, and it is. And we also we said we're not going to raise the price on this. We're going to make sure that people get a great bottle of wine and also get a great value. That's what it's all about. And this is the 2017 that we've just released,
Yeah.
and it is getting some really nice accolades.
Right. 95 in the Press Democrat, the San Francisco Chronicle competition, actually, Chronicle. And that's the toughest one because that's all the wineries here that enter. And so it's Napa, it's Mendocino, it's Sonoma County. And to get a 95 from them is pretty spectacular. That was great. And we just released this wine.
Yes,
And Jane has given it a drinking window of 2020 to 2030. Do you think that the 17 can go 20 years like your turn of the century ones as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like older wines as well, and Jane likes to drink her wines early, I think.
Yeah, this one you get, this really it's juicy upfront fruit. Black raspberry, black cherry.
Mm-hmm.
It has really nice acidity. I like the balance on this. It's not heavy at all, but it's got plenty of power. But it's to me, it's like a tenor in that it has great mid-range to it and length.
I don't have it with me tonight, so I can't compare. I'm just jealous, that's all. Cheers.
Sure, for all of you. And it's pretty accessible now. I mean, it's starting to turn a corner. I mean, we know the wine so well, but it's just starting to turn a corner. You know, it still has some grippy tannins. It needs still. We have dogs too.
And when did you open that, Kenny? The one you're drinking now?
We haven't even opened it. We core it.
Oh, okay. So and you didn't aerate it either, right? That's you haven't even decanted the one glass you took out of the bottle.
No, we haven't decanted it.
No,
And the wines
okay.
really do benefit from decanting.
Yeah. Okay.
Even baby blue. I mean, baby blue.
Yeah.
Certainly would.
Yeah, so these are wines that you can, open up and take a little taste out and then put the cork back in and drink it the next night or even the next night. And this is what we've been hearing across the country. People are pretty happy that the wines actually last for 2 or 3 nights. And I've had this last for 5 nights. I'm not gonna.
I mean, that speaks to the
You're not
power.
supposed to do that,
You know,
but they will last.
when you think of powerful wines, it means different things. And oftentimes, I think people mistake fat, big in the mouth and fat, as different than power. Power has to do with the length on the palate, I think, is a real indicator of whether a wine is going to age or not. There's a couple of things. Wine to age has to have balance. So all the elements have to really sort of come together. You do have to have acid. If there's not enough acid, it's not going to age nicely. Without acid, wines start turning sort of sweet and plummy. Unpleasant to me. And then, but for me, more than anything else, it's the length on the palate. Like when I seriously taste, I close my eyes and I think about it. And I really kind of like, how long does that last? How long is that flavor in my mouth? Fortunately, I don't seriously taste all that often. You guys don't watch. You want to watch me seriously taste?
Absolutely. Do a full tasting of it, of color and essence, the whole deal.
I was just joking, but I'll do that. Carla's a better taster.
I practice a lot.
She starts in the morning. She brushes her teeth and then she has a glass of wine.
Well, truth be told, I've been practicing since I was a kid. So I grew up in the Midwest, but my family was in agriculture. We had greenhouses specialized in bare root rose bushes, but we grew up in the Midwest where it's cold. So what do? We actually fermented whatever we could find. So we made wine in the basement. So I grew up making wine with my family and drinking wine at the table. And so I like to say wine's been a part of my life since I was very young. But I've been in California for 26 years now. So, it was like, I think you have that kind of epiphany of, it was one bottle a trip out here and tasting a place, tasting Rutherford dust and really understanding that a vineyard can taste different from one vineyard to the next, a different location. And I was just blown away. And I said, sorry, family, I'm not taking over the greenhouses. I'm going to California.
She's smart. She's smart.
And happily met up with Kenny about 4 years ago, and we've been having a lot of fun. We're really, serious about what we do here. Very serious about the wine and the food and the hospitality and the sustainability, but we also like to have fun. And, that's why we like to do the recipes and make it a little bit different, because you can just sit there and watch a winemaker or a vigneron talk about their wines and talk about their estate, but until you can actually put something together, because how do we normally share wine? We are normally sharing it with friends and with food, and we might not be able to be together, but we can do this together now.
Okay, I'm gonna seriously taste.
Okay.
Are you guys ready? You're
Ready.
So no, I mean, I have to say that I do drink wine every night. I love wine and I drink wine from all over the planet. That's what's fun, is discoveries. So of course I drink our own wines, but when I'm really not doing a tasting like this, I'm drinking everybody else's and not our own. And I do take notes on anything that I find is really an interesting wine that I want to remember. I will take a little note so I can, remember something about it. But when I taste, I do want to get some air in the glass, but I try to be really careful not to spill it all over myself, because then know that I'm too serious. And you do start off with a little observation. I mean, obviously, you look at the color on this, and it's like, oh, this is a young wine, right? There's no age on this to speak of, so that's one thing. And then, to me, the aromas are just as important as the flavors. Is that because I normally drink wine with food, so it's throughout an evening, so I have a chance to let the wine develop with some air in the glass. And so the aromas are really important. And you want the aromas to be consistent with the flavors. You don't want something that smells like violets and then all of a sudden you taste it and it tastes like black cherry. It's just like, wouldn't be realistic.
Yeah, I get some beautiful floral notes on the nose with this.
The next thing, I think about the texture.
Yeah.
The texture of the wine. This one still has some, I won't call them hard angles because they're not really hard angles at all. It has beautiful tannins. This has some grip, but it's nice grip. It's what you want in a Cabernet. You have to have, I call it that velvet.
Oh,
What's that?
that's your timer.
You guys forgive me. I have to get this out. We're only giving it 11 minutes. Wait a second.
Oh, it looks pretty good. Looks like,
This is always the scary part.
Okay,
Is,
Get in here. Look at
this is the
that.
scary part because are we going to look stupid? Is it going to be molten or is it going to be something else? So
I'm gonna have to.
what I'm going to do, okay, it is hot, right? So I'm going to turn it. You see that? So it does puff up a little bit. Put it on the plate there.
Here, I'm gonna take this back and grab some spoons and a knife.
I'm going to give it a minute
Yeah.
to just kind of like hang out and to rest and hopefully relax and come off of the plate.
And it's a friendly audience, so if it sticks, it's okay.
We're going to eat it. And we're going to eat it in front of you.
Great.
Okay,
Thank
ready?
you.
Okay, wait a second. Should we say a prayer first?
I've prayed more this year than I've ever prayed in my life.
Please don't stick. Please don't stick. Please don't stick. Is it sticking?
It's sticking.
It's sticking.
The knife around the edge.
Wait a second.
No, sticking.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Next
It's
trick.
okay.
The next trick.
Don't get your feelings
Don't
hurt.
panic, don't panic.
The trick is put a little knife around the edge, loosen it up. There we go.
Should have done this to begin with. Okay. Turn it upside down.
There we go.
And voila.
Okay, now,
Okay.
but okay, so
Okay.
because we were serving this with red wine, and we learned this we do occasional winemaker dinners with some wonderful chefs, and we had a couple of chefs, we send them the wines that we're going to be having with dinner so that they can pair something that they want to make with it. And we had two chefs who did not this dessert, but dark chocolate dessert with baby blue in particular. And what a great combination. So that's what gave us the idea for the combination. So we're not serving it with ice cream, but I got to tell you, if you're not having red wine with it, put some Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream, some whipped cream. Now, here's the test. Okay, is it molten? You see that ooze? See that ooze right there, the lava? How about that?
Perfection.
There we go.
But I want to try it with some wine. I don't
All
have any
right.
wine.
Here, let me get you some wine.
You want to try it with baby blue or you want to try it with a cap?
Well, we'll stick with the
Okay.
Thank you, Carlo.
Yeah. Great. All right, I'm gonna
There's a
try
spoon
it too.
for you.
Okay, thank you. Oh. It smells amazing. I wish you could smell this. Because it really just, and
So I
really
get-
elegant. So just 11 minutes and it's done.
I get a lot of black cherry,
Mhm.
black raspberry. Are there black raspberries or am I making it up? Or are there black raspberries? Does anybody know?
Blackberries.
The
Yeah.
blackberries. Very good.
Mhm.
Jared, did they not send you one so that you could have one? No, no.
This is so
They're
good.
really good.
This is so, here, have some. This is
Yeah.
so good. You
That-
want some? You gotta
The-
make this recipe.
The only problem with virtual tastings, I think.
Well, not really, because you can make, this took, how long did this take me? This took 10 minutes. This is like, you could go down to the local 7-Eleven and get all the ingredients. You don't have to even go to the supermarket. You don't have to know how to cook. You want to show your friends that you're like a Michelin 3-star baker, like Jean-Georges, my friend Jean-Georges. Make this cake. But don't make it unless you have some Blue Rock wines to serve with it. You try to put a duck horn with this and you're going to be so disappointed.
I wouldn't think of it,
Okay,
about the
now,
duck horn.
now we normally, we've done quite a few of these virtual tastings, and we feel that we have the privilege of doing our own thing. And so what we normally do is we go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves and say a little something kind, or not kind if you're in a bad mood. So I hope, forgive me, and if you really don't want to participate, don't. But young lady with your arm up like this in the blue coat, unmic yourself and tell us who you are, where you are, and tell us a little something wonderful.
Myself. Can
There
you
you
hear
are.
me now?
Yes.
I'm Anaïs. I'm working at Opimian.
Oh,
And you're in,
From
Tom,
France.
you're in Montreal, right?
Yeah, I'm in Montreal and I'm from France originally.
do you speak French?
Oui, je parle français. You speak French?
Oui.
Oui.
Quanto por una cerveza?
De quoi?
Quanto por una cerveza?
Una cerveza es Spanish.
Yeah. Close, but
Une bière en français.
Actually, that's the only French I know. How much is a beer? And it's in Spanish.
And it's
Right.
Spanish.
Okay,
And
so a little
Anaïs
dog
is
here,
being,
say,
hang on, Anaïs is being very modest. She's also a huge foodie, and she could cook this with her eyes closed for sure.
Did you see? I did cook it with my eyes closed.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, you got a new recipe, and check out some of our other recipes. I got to tell you, the tuna, this tuna or salmon, and it's Asian inspired, so I'm going to call it poke rather than tartare. That recipe is so fantastic, and you have people coming over, and it's just so easy to do, and you're making little sushi for them, and it takes you about 5 minutes to do it. So that's one to look. So next, I'm going to, I don't know if everybody's screen order. So on the top right, yes, I see the smile there. Yes, you do. Unmic yourself. Tell us who you are. Yes, yes.
Hi, I'm Mary, and I'm in St. Albert, Alberta, which is just outside of Edmonton. I've done my level 3 WSET, and I've been an Opimian member for a couple of years now. So I didn't have the baby blue tonight, but I signed up for this because I didn't have the blue rock, but I plan on ordering either the baby blue or the Cab Sauv. So I really wanted to come tonight to hear a bit more about the wines and hear a bit more about your story, and you didn't disappoint.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
Level three is like serious stuff.
I don't know if I'll go beyond this to diploma. That's getting a little too serious, I think, for me. But yeah, it's been a fun journey for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, you want to keep it fun. So
Yeah.
now, gentleman with the glasses,
David.
David.
Hi there. My name's David Pasquino. I'm in London, Ontario, and have been an opinion member probably for about 10 years or so. COVID has really sort of drained my cellar, unfortunately. So going to have to try to build that back up. I love these virtual tours. My wife and my daughter make fun of me coming downstairs to the basement. This is my man cave down here. This is to my right, this side. I'm a comic book fanatic. So these pages over here, these are actually original comic book pages drawn by the artists. So anyway, we're both comic nerds, my wife and I. I've been to vineyards around the world, Australia, New Zealand, Spain, and I just absolutely love interacting with the vineyards and the owners and everything, to feel their passion for the wine. My daughter took a sip of wine a couple of months ago and said, "Oh, how could you do such a terrible thing to such wonderful grapes?" So I've got to work on her a little bit. She's 15. We've got some time. But thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, good. Thank you. That's, by the way, you know that we're 20 minutes away from the Charles Schulz Museum. You probably didn't know that.
No, but I think we'll probably be visiting soon. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that would be so much fun for you. It's right out by the airport.
Yeah.
And for those of you, I'm sure you know Charles Schulz's Peanuts, right, guys?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so
Yeah, big fans.
Gentleman in the orangish, reddish shirt right there.
Neil.
Oh, Neil. I can't see the name. Neil.
So that's us. Hopefully you can hear us. So I'm Neil Turcotte. I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. My lovely spouse, Natalie, is from Montreal, Quebec.
Bonjour, Amélie.
We've been, we've been opinion members for a few years. We've done, I think this is our third, I think we've done all the tastings so far, these virtual tastings. We've really enjoyed them. Tonight, you might have seen the charcuterie board prepared by Nathalie with respect to, we're tasting the 2010 Blue Rock that we purchased a few years back. And
Al fresco, because it is a beautiful night here.
Yeah, we thought we'd do it
unseasonal.
California style. We had a beautiful day here, 30 plus degrees in Saskatoon, and the light is fading on us, as is the last eighth of the Blue Rock. We really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, we have. And I would like to say I have your recipe clipped from one of the magazines for the molten cake. I've just been choking for years, being absolutely scared of baking one, that it would not turn out. So you broke this fear. So I'll have to try.
But you can do it. You can do it.
Yes, I know I can.
How's 2010?
It absolutely fantastic. It went well with the sage
pesto, chicken goat cheese pizza. Which
right
I make.
I
make my own pesto.
Right through the various. We did like a blue cheese, a goat kind of blue cheese, dark chocolates, charcuterie board of different cold cuts and things. It went well with all of it. It muted a little bit on the dark chocolate, just modestly, but it was a sea salt lint dark chocolate. But it's absolutely fantastic across the board. Beautiful flavor, beautiful aromas, gorgeous.
One thing with chocolate and red wine is that chocolate, of course, has this range of sweetness, right? And it has to be just the right amount of sweetness, or else it does not go.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
And salt leaves the tank.
Luckily, and sorry, Michael, I still have a few bottles of that down in my cellar.
and I can't fly to Saskatoon right now. So.
That is, we have Clayton and Marie.
Hello, Clayton and Marie. Where are you from?
We are from Edmonton, Alberta. Sounds like most of us are in Western Canada or in Montreal, but we're representing the West. And we are visiting tonight with the Blue Rock. I guess that's showing backwards, 2014. which is an exceptionally good wine. We're really enjoying it. And we had it with some cheese here, but we are heating up our new Kamado grill that we just bought yesterday. And we're about to heat up some pizzas. So the last little bit is going to be paired with some pizza from our grill outside. So we're really looking forward to that. But this is our first virtual wine tasting visit that we've had, and it's actually been quite fun. And
we'll have to do more of them for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of neat to be visiting with people all over Canada and the US and hearing what everybody's doing, and the weather differences everywhere, and yeah, it's really been enjoyable. So thank you very much for putting this together, and
super informative too. Yeah.
And we're going to try that lava cake recipe for sure. If we can find it on your website. Marie was looking for it while you were talking.
I was having trouble, but
couldn't find it.
It's just me.
Yeah, all the way down, any page on the website, all the way down to the bottom, there's a tiny link that says blog, and it takes you to a whole secret section.
Okay, we'll get it.
We'll check it out for sure then. Sounds
So
good. Thank you.
one more. We have Leo, but we can't see you, Leo.
Leo's on his personal iPhone.
He's on personal iPhone.
Right there. Yeah.
Oh, there.
Mute yourself. You don't have to, but if
Okay, this is Leo Parent from Fort McMurray, Alberta, another Albertan. And yeah, thank you for the information. I've had both the baby blue and the blue many years ago. I haven't bought any lately. I find the prices have gone up, but I'll have to try them again.
well, that's so nice. Fun to be with you guys.
And if I may say, Kenny, that I've done the Jean-Georges salmon with shiitake mushroom from your website.
We talked about that, yeah.
We did, and absolutely amazing. I didn't have your Pinot Noir because we haven't offered it at Opinion. I'll have to talk to Jane. And so I paired it with the baby blue, and I think it's still paired. I think that the baby blue is versatile enough to go even with that. But probably not with a plain salmon, but with the shiitake mushroom, that sauce was very, very rich. It had no problem standing up to the baby blue, and so absolutely enjoyed it. So I'm a foodie, and Mary, I'm a fellow WSET 3, and so really enjoy these tastings because I do learn so much. Oh, where's your wine, Mary? That's all gone. I'm just gonna have to open another bottle.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, no, that's great. So may I thank you guys for having done this for us. We really appreciate it, and you have a lot of fans here in Canada, I can assure you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Yeah, I look forward to ordering some and enjoying your wine.
Yeah.
Hey, come see us too, okay?
Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for joining us, everybody. Okay, and thanks for setting this up, Anais. Very, very appreciated. Okay. Good night, all.
Night.
Work on your French.
Je parle français.